Okay, let's draw a tree and some landscaping. One of the things that can make this house look super scary and way cooler is if we have a big tree, kind of a scary looking tree in the front yard. Now we can also add some little landscaping if you want to put some bushes around your house or anything like that. But this lesson is all about the big scary tree. You can decide where to put this tree. You can put smaller ones in the distance if you want to, but I think the best kind of scary tree in a haunted house picture is one that drifts in front of the house in some way. So like I keep thinking that I kind of want to put it here so that some of the branches go across this part of the house, but I don't know, like balance wise, maybe it would be better here. See how I'm holding my hand, like kind of imagining, okay, what would the tree look like if it was over here? It probably would look pretty good. I don't know. I can't decide. Maybe I'll put two trees in this one. Maybe I'll put one here and one there. Okay, so let's talk about how to make a tree. First of all, your tree should be with a normal colored pencil. Do not do this with your Sketch and Wash or any of the watercolor pencils. You need a black and maybe even a brown. Oops, that one's not sharpened. How come I can never find my black colored pencils? They're always mysteriously hidden. Everything looks black from the top. Well, there's a nice dark brown. We might use you. Some grays. Is this black? Yes, black, but it's not sharpened. Okay, that's okay. We can sharpen it. Oh, maybe this one's already sharpened. Yes. There we go. We're good. That's going to be our black. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do, well, first, let me just explain this. You're not going to outline your tree, okay, and then color it. You need to draw your tree dark from the beginning, like fill in all the bark as you go. That's going to look the most realistic. Now, the beginning of the tree is going to be where the trunk goes into the ground. And you do not want your tree to look like it has legs, okay? You don't want it to look like there's like some pointy thing sticking straight down. A lot of kids think, oh, I want to draw the roots of my tree. I want it to look like it has those big gnarly roots at the bottom, but they make the direction of the roots kind of wrong. Like if you do see roots at the bottom of your tree, they're gonna go a little bit sideways, okay? They're not gonna go straight down. Otherwise it's gonna look like it has legs or something that's walking around. I think I'm gonna start my big tree kind of over here, all right? It looks like I still need to do some ground down here. I can add that later, it's fine, because this is not gonna smear when I add water to this painting. So the bottom of my tree is gonna have a little bit of roots. Don't go crazy with the roots, you guys, because you know, we really don't see that many roots. It's kind of like a misconception, one of those like things that everybody wants to draw, but it's not really visible on many trees. But if you're gonna make a root, make it go sideways. We're gonna start with the one that's facing to the left right there. And then we'll draw one kind of facing to the right. Try not to make them even with each other. Make them uneven so they don't look exactly the same. That's kind of important too, because nature is not symmetrical, at least not in trees usually. Okay, now if there's one coming towards you, that's fine, but it's not gonna go straight down, okay? Make it either lean a little to the left or a little to the right, one or the other, and make it a little shorter than the other ones because it's coming towards you like this, so you don't really see the whole length of it, okay? So that would be kind of a good start for your tree. Now remember what I said, we're not gonna outline this, we're going to fill in all the bark as we go. And bark is easy, you just scribble, okay? Scribble. Okay, make a whole lot of scribbly things on your tree and let some of the background show through just a little bit. Those will be the it'll make the roughness of the bark kind of show up. It's not gonna look see-through if you don't let too much of it show. But you can see there's a few little spots right there that are showing through. That's what you want. Now, if you want to put a little brown in this, if you don't want the tree to be completely black, I mean, at night, it's gonna be so dark, you're not gonna really be able to tell. But, you know, some kids like to use that brown in there because, you know, technically the tree has brown in it. But see how I'm just scribbling. Now, Do you notice how my trunk is going up and it's kind of the same width? Be careful not to let your trunk get too, like, don't let it get wider for certain. If it gets anything, it can get a little narrower as it goes up. But for the first part of this tree, this is gonna be a big tree, okay? For the first part of this tree, it's just gonna go straight up, okay? Now, at a certain point, you're gonna have to say, I want a branch right there. When you get to the point where you're gonna have a branch, you're going to make the letter Y, okay? It's one branch is gonna go this way and one branch is gonna go that way, but don't make them even with each other. Don't make them symmetrical. And this letter Y is gonna take half of the width of the trunk. So the trunk is this wide right here. We're gonna make half of the trunk go to the left and half go to the right. So don't worry about your house. Go right on top of your house. This is the hardest thing to do sometimes. Because you're like, I have my details right there. I don't want to cover them up. Trust me, you're not going to cover very many of them up. And if you had something right exactly at that point, then don't make your branch go right there. Make your branch go over it or under it. But make your branch solid as it goes over your house. Now, I don't know if you've noticed what I've been doing here, but I took half. When it started out, this was about half the width of my trunk right here, my main trunk. But as I keep going, notice what's happening. I'm getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and I'm gonna go really far. It seems like, whoa, Mrs. Greasock, that's too far. No, it's not. It's good, okay? We're gonna have a lot more branches, don't worry. So there's my branch going to the left. Now we'll make one going to the right that's not exactly the same. Take half of the width of your trunk again and go to the right. Now on this side, I kind of think my branch will go off the edge of the page. That's fine. Just keep going. Just like that. And it doesn't get all the way thin enough like that because it would do that out here someplace further. Okay, that's fine. Now we have our first two branches. Now the tree trunk, the main trunk, is going to keep going up, but it's not going to be as thick this time. We're going to make it a little bit thinner, kind of about the thickness of those two branches right there. And it's going to go up a little ways and then make it a little crooked. Like, don't make it be perfectly straight because that's kind of weird. And then at some point, you're gonna make two more branches, but guess what? Now this part of the trunk is not as thick as it was down here. So again, half the thickness of this part of the trunk, okay? Don't make these branches get wider and just kind of make it like really crooked and weird. Like, just let it kind of have its own life. You can kind of go in any direction that you can feel. Now here's my kitty. Remember, I don't want to cover her up, so I'm gonna make this branch either go over or under her. I think over seems more appropriate. Seems like it wants to go that way. You're gonna see that your tree kind of wants to go a certain way, and just let it lead you, okay? Now right here, I'm feeling like there should be another branch right there. I think I'll make another one going this way, and then make it, you know, not match the other branches exactly. And then maybe this trunk goes up a little farther and it has two more branches. Now look how skinny my tree is getting now. Do you see that? It's not nearly as wide as it was down there, although I do think it needs to be a little wider. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna widen that up just slightly, but then I gotta widen everything from there down so that it makes sense, okay? So that it feels balanced, okay? That's the main part of this. Now look at that, that kind of looks like a tree already. Like, that's what you're aiming for, is kind of that feeling of treeness. Now, every single one of these branches needs more branches. So pick a spot kind of low on each one of these branches and draw another one that's kind of even in thickness to the first one. Make some of these go down. This is the other thing that kids sometimes have trouble with, is making branches that go down, but sometimes they do, okay? And they cross over each other sometimes, right? So pick several places where you can add more branches to the ones you already have. Notice how I kind of just trail them off with a thin line. Oh, gotta sharpen my pencil. Okay. It's starting to look good. This one needs another one going this way. Notice how each one of them trails off, but they start always wide and go to thin. Start wide, go to thin. Start wide, go to thin. Okay? Now, all of those branches need smaller branches. Now, at this point, you're just kind of trailing your pencil off, okay? You're not really worried too much about... I only kind of just scribble it when I first start it like that, and then I trail it off. They're not quite as long now, right, as they were before. And then those branches will need branches. And every time you add more branches, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And at a certain point, you're gonna see that it starts to look like the tree that you want. I would keep turning your paper so that you can have a good angle for drawing these branches. Now, do you see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of flicking my pencil and adding the tiny little twigs. Don't make them too even with each other. It looks more realistic if they're small and twiggy, right? Little things that are not perfectly even with each other. It'll look more realistic. Make sure that all your twigs are actually connected to the tree. Don't just start flicking your pencil randomly everywhere, right? And don't forget, there's gonna be some small twigs even coming off of the main trunk. And then at a certain point, you'll say, oh, look, it looks like a tree. I can quit now. You know, you don't have, you quit when you think your tree looks like it's supposed to, like it's gonna be a good tree. Everybody needs to make a tree someplace on their picture. My tree is in the front yard, and the reason I know that is because the bottom of the tree is below the bottom of the house. Make sure if you're making a tree in the front yard that it starts below your house and goes above your house, because that tree is closer to us, so it's bigger. Look at my hands even when I do that. Like, look how big my hands get when I bring it close. Things that are closer to you are bigger, so they gotta be taller than the house and lower than the house. But if you draw a tree in the backyard, it's gonna be, the trunk is gonna start above the bottom of the house. So if I was gonna make like a little tree back here, it would start like that, and then it would be kind of small too. And it would have less details because it's far away. You don't see it as much. Look, I just drew another tree, just like that, in the backyard. You can draw some more of those over here. You can draw another big one in the front yard, you know, whatever you think is gonna make your house look better. But look at how much more scary my house looks now with that little weird tree there in the front yard, right? Okay, have fun drawing trees.